It is Thursday, March 31st in the NBA, and I'm back with my two best picks of the day. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot. On Monday, we were 4-0. On Tuesday, we were 1-0. And then yesterday, an unreal day for the ages because, boom, the broom was brought out again. A perfect 6-0, moving us to 11-0 over the last 3 days. We've hit our last 11 picks. It's been an unreal run. Our subscriber parlay giveaway didn't hit, but it didn't even matter as we had Davion Mitchell, Jokic, and Julius Randle all cashing in the video. After the video, we added a couple plays on Twitter. Make sure you're following us at Calling Our Shot, but we also put them in the pinned comment. We added Trae Young, Brandon Williams cashed in the first quarter. CJ McCollum made us sweat, but he cashed a record day, and I know March hasn't necessarily been the best month, but the past couple days has been really awesome. Hopefully we've been helping you making some money. If you are new to the channel, consider going down below, hitting that subscribe button. I thank you guys all for 29,000 subscribers. Can't do it without you guys. Let's try to hit 30,000 by the end of the NBA regular season. We appreciate all the new people joining the community. Now, also, as a side note, you can download these daily videos in podcast form. Just go to whatever, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you will get your podcast, and just type in Calling Our Shot. You'll find the audio form there in case you're, I don't know, driving to work and you don't want to watch all the different video kind of editing we do. Either way, or just click the link at the top of the description. It's just a link tree to all those different podcast platforms. Shout out again to our COS All-Stars. If we helped you maybe make some money last night, consider becoming an All-Star. It's a great way to show you and give back to our community, help support us to do all these videos 100% free for you guys. So you get the plays an hour or two early as well, and you get your name shouted out in the video. So our newest All-Stars, Tom, Anthony, Kenyon, 41 below, Lane, Dakar Blue 5, that super champ, Cringe Monitor at D_does, Francisco, Brandon, Aaron, and Peyton. We really appreciate all you guys. You guys are the real MVPs. Thank you for becoming a COS All-Star, supporting the channel. If you want to become one, click the join button on the channel or click the link in the pinned comment down below. Let's waste no more time. Let's talk about the NBA, though. We're 2 minutes in. Let's get into the NBA. We only have about 5 games on today, if I'm not mistaken. I have 2 plays, and then we'll talk about each of the other games, give you a couple leans that I'm considering. Don't want to force too much. I know we've been pretty hot the past 3 days, but we don't want to be giving it back on not a great slate. So today, we're rolling with the best bet of the day, and his name is Joel Embiid. We're taking his over, 45.5 PRAs, minus 120 on Caesars. Now, if you can take his over in points plus rebounds, solid. If you can just take one bet, I'd take his over in points at 30.5. That's the bet I would take. Now, today, Joel Embiid, and if you want to take it up to 46.5, fine with that. Now, today, Joel Embiid and the Sixers are on the road, taking on the Detroit Pistons, and Embiid has gone over this line in back-to-back games with 54 PRAs against the Suns, and then 50 against the Bucks last game. I know a lot of people were hurt by him getting blocked on that final attempt by Giannis Antetokounmpo. More on him in a second. Now, prior to those 2 games he went over, he did go under in 4 straight games. Then prior to those 4 straight, he went over in 3 straight. I mean, we know how good Embiid has been this season, averaging 29.9 points per game, 11.4 rebounds per game, and 4.3 assists per game for 45.6 PRAs per game. Exactly what this line is, 45.5. Now, he does average 2.5 points per game more on the road this season, which is odd, but 2.5 more points per game on the road. They are on the road today in Detroit. Now, in his last 5 games versus Detroit, from oldest to newest, he's had 47, 48, 36, 51, and 31 PRAs, going over in 3 of the 5 games. So not too bad of a track record. The biggest part, though, he played 31 or fewer minutes in 4 of those 5 games. And while I'm not necessarily saying he's going to play 39 minutes tonight like he has played the last 2 games, I do think he plays closer above at least 31 minutes. That's his floor. And if the Pistons can keep this game close, should see even more minutes than he normally has been seeing against them in his most recent games. Now, you take a large step back. If you looked at centers versus this Pistons team, you'd kind of see they aren't necessarily, the best matchup, the worst matchup. It's an average matchup in terms of points allowed to the position, rebounds allowed to the position. But this team hasn't played a lot of good centers all season long. We saw them play Cat in the past couple months. Karl Anthony Towns, he had 38 and 39 PRAs against this Pistons roster. And then we saw Jokic play 2 games against Detroit this season, 58 and 51 PRAs, cashing it easily. Now, one of the main reasons up here, because of Nikola Jokic. I'm a Joker shirt sitting over here, and he's been ridiculous. And these two people have been battling it out for the MVP trophy. We actually talked about it on our podcast. I'll put the podcast link in the description. It was posted yesterday. But Jokic, now the MVP frontrunner at minus 155 and Embiid at plus 105. Well, I'm not necessarily going to say, who I think deserves to win it. I watched Joel Embiid talk on JJ Redick's podcast, and he said how much the MVP award meant to him. And while we're not necessarily basing this bet on solely just his motivation, that's sometimes the case towards the end of the NBA season. And he told JJ Redick, he told that podcast that he wants to win this award for his home country of Cameroon. He wants to go back and show all those kids. This guy didn't start playing basketball till he was like 15 years old. He wants to show that it's possible. And look, he's even talked about how much this award would mean to him. So I just imagine this end of the stretch, as we have about 7 or 8 games remaining in the season, I've imagined he's about to turn it on and try to get that MVP award. It'd be really tough for him to get this close just to miss it to Jokic. We obviously see him and Jokic trading good games left and right. So saw Jokic have 37 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists for 59 PRAs. Embiid, you got to come out here, put out a good performance. We should see Harden feeding Embiid. It would not surprise me tonight if we see Embiid score 40 or more points alone tonight. I think he piles up some more rebounds as well as he's guarding Isaiah Stewart, who's now launching three-pointers, and then Marvin Bagley as well. As we always say, as the people say, tonight we're trusting the process, and we're going to ride with Joel Embiid. Best bet of the day, over 45.5 PRAs. Go out there and get it done. Now let's move on to my next play. So we likely my final play of the day. If we do add a play, it will be in the pinned comment section down below. So definitely go check that out. We did add 3 plays yesterday. Today's slate not that good. I might add 1 play, and we'll talk about some after this one. Going Giannis Antetokounmpo, taking his under 13.5 rebounds, minus 115 on FanDuel. Now, yes, you heard that right. I'm taking an under on the Greek Freak, and while it might be sketchy, he might come back and watch this video and see, how could Austin do that to me? We love Giannis here, and I love him, but I'm going to take the under here because I think this line's too high. Now, tonight, the Bucks are in Brooklyn taking on the Nets, a rematch of that playoff series last year where that went 7 games. Now, we look at it. Giannis, we've taken his rebounds prop 2 of the last 3 games, and he cashed for us. And so we say thank you, Giannis. We appreciate you. Now we need you to go under tonight as they've risen your line. Now, we've seen Giannis. We know, and I've talked about it in the past, Giannis does very good rebounding the ball at home. Not so good rebounding the ball on the road. In fact, 12.6 rebounds per game at home, only 10.7 rebounds per game on the road this season. Obviously, they were on the road. So now you're asking him to get 14, which is a full 3.3 rebounds above what he normally averages on the year. Giannis only averaging 11.6 rebounds per game this season, and he's under this line in 42 of 62 games this year, 67.7% of the time. Of the 20 games that he has had 14 or more rebounds, only 8 of them, or 40% of them, came on the road. The other 12 came obviously at home. And let's talk about his performance against the Nets, and more specifically Kevin Durant. So against Kevin Durant specifically, in those 2 matchups this season, he's had 14 and 7 rebounds against Durant's Nets. I'll give you a guess. One of those games was on the road. One of those games was at home. Which one do you think was on the road? Yeah, 7 rebounds against the Nets in Brooklyn the last time he was here. And we take a step back even further. We look at Giannis versus Durant, including the playoffs. We're just going to look at the time as he's been a Brooklyn Net. In 12 career games against Durant, including the postseason, 9 of those 12 he's gone under. And on top of that, the 3 games he went over, he had 14 and 14 and 17 rebounds. And I'll give you a guess where the location of all 3 games that he went over this line against Brooklyn Durant. Yeah, you'd guess it. He was at home. So we also have to keep in mind a large majority of those games were in that playoff series where he was playing 50, 43, 42, 41 minutes. I don't know how to tell you, but Giannis is not playing that many minutes today. I know this is a big game for him, but they're not going to run Giannis into the ground after they've been resting him. Now, if this game goes to overtime, then we won't really have much control over that. But we also have to think about in those games where Giannis was playing 50 to 43 minutes, we also saw PJ Tucker being the primary guy guarding Kevin Durant. And tonight I have a feeling that Giannis will be on KD. When we think about those matchups, we saw Tucker obviously starting at the 3. Tucker is obviously now a member of the Miami Heat. We saw Tucker starting at the 3, and he would guard Durant. And we'd kind of see Giannis more as like a free roamer, just kind of roaming around the paint, trying to block shots. Tonight, I don't think that will be the case because I don't see them putting Chris Middleton on Kevin Durant. That would be barbecue chicken. Durant, he would take his over. And I don't see them putting Wesley Matthews, Pat Connaughton, or even Grayson Allen on him. That doesn't make sense. So the logical matchup is Giannis on Kevin Durant. And I bet you that's what we see on the other side of the court, as I'm sure Kevin Durant will step up and want to guard Giannis. Now, we think about the last game. We saw 14 rebounds against the Sixers for the Greek Freak. That was on the road, so clap it up for him. But that also was the center guarding Embiid on the perimeter. It left Giannis as the only guy down below. That's not the case today, as the center will be guarding either Andre Drummond or Nicholas Claxton, 2 guys with no perimeter game, and so we'll see the center in the middle of the paint. And so I think Giannis, I think this projection is a little too high. My projections have him much lower at around 11 or 12 rebounds, so I think we got a little bit of an edge. Taking the Greek Freak under 13.5 rebounds. I know it's going to be sketchy. Don't do whatever you want with it, but I'm going to be riding with it. I think the under 13.5 rebounds is a good play. Now, that's going to wrap up the video for my official plays, but let's talk about some leans, and let's talk about the other games. Now, these are leans. I'm not going to count them towards my record unless you see them officially added in the pinned comment section down below, but I think these could have an edge, and there were things I was considering looking at. Now, I'll start with my spread lean of the day. You guys know I don't like betting spreads, but I'd bet the Hawks minus 5.5. Now, I'm sorry, Cavs fans. You guys know I love you. Kind of taking you in as my second team, as my New York Knicks kind of stink. But still, I love the Cavs. They've just been hit with the injury bug at the wrong time with Mobley and now Jared Allen out. A bunch of other guys out. Rondo still out. And it's just the lean. I don't like betting spreads in the NBA, but the Hawks are at home somewhere. They've played much better as of this season and as of really the past 2 seasons. And really, I just don't trust the Cavs all too much. If Darius Garland's not in the game 48 minutes, this team's going to really struggle. And speaking of Darius Garland and Trae Young, I like both their points and assists over combined. These are 2 premier young guards going at it. These are just leans because we don't have lines for these games, but we've seen Trae score a lot more points at home versus on the road. In fact, 30 points per game at home, only 26.3 points per game on the road. Just dropped like a 40 piece in like 30 or less minutes against the Thunder. Not saying much. I could probably score 20 against the Thunder, for being honest. Both guys should have a ton of field goal attempt volume, should be passing the ball to their teammates. So don't mind either of those 2 guys. Now we'll move on to the Clippers versus Bulls game. Paul George returned with a vengeance. I'm going to put a Paul George question mark because I have no idea if he plays and 2 of the lines he gets. Last game I think he got a 17.5 points line, and he said, all right, bet, and he doubled it. Had 34 points against the Jazz. Genuinely curious what line he gets today. Not really sure I want to touch any LA Clipper just because we've already seen Tyronn Lue come out and say, no, we're restricting our players' minutes. So I'm not really going to touch it, but it is something to consider. Also look at DeMar DeRozan over in points. I think it's 25.5, 26.5. He's back to cooking. 32 plus points in 2 straight games. The volume's ridiculous. 26 and 27 field goal attempts the last 2 games. Don't hate the matchup versus the Clippers either. And I think this game should be a pretty close one. So I don't personally want to bet on this game, so you won't see me add a play in the Clippers-Bulls game. If I do add a play, it will probably be in the Hawks-Cavs game. But I'll talk about the last game. It's plug your nose. Jazz-Lakers. This game's yucky. The Lakers are going to be down LeBron James, down Anthony Davis, or at least AD's doubtful. Yeah, no. If you were a degenerate, and there's a lot of degenerates out there, I'd look at Rudy Gobert's over in rebounds, whatever the line may be, and Jordan Clarkson over in points. I like both of those. I think Clarkson gets some garbage time run against this Lakers team, which have honestly been terrible recently. And the Jazz, let's be honest, call spade a spade. They haven't been much better. I think they've lost 5 straight games. They're kind of falling in the rankings, and I think the Nuggets are now above them at the 4 seed. I think the Jazz dropped to the 5. But either way, there's no chance to add a play in this game because, one, There's 2 teams, I don't want to watch them at 10:30, and I don't want to stay up to watch this game. So no thanks. My 2 official plays right now, we got Joel Embiid over 45.5 PRAs and Giannis Antetokounmpo under 13.5 rebounds. If I add any plays, they'll be posted on Twitter at Calling Our Shot. Go follow us. They'll also be posted in the pinned comment section down below. Reminder again, if you want to become a COS All-Star and support the channel, it only costs $2.99 a month. Helps support us, helps us do everything for free. Click the join button on the channel or click the link in the pinned comment down below. It works best on the desktop or the YouTube app on your phone. If you start doing the browser on your phone, sometimes it just kind of glitches out. But either way, let's end March with another profitable day. If I add any plays, you'll know down below. I'll see you guys in the next one on Friday. Let's keep it rolling. Let's stay hot, baby. Let's bring out this bad boy one more time. But I appreciate you for tuning in. This has been Austin. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.